So sometimes I come up with really interesting ideas, and I just came up with a movie idea because of all this talk about abortion. What if we had a movie about doctors that worked at a facility that did abortions, yet they were looking for young girls, say 16 and 17, on their first pregnancy that didn't want to tell their parents about it, yet these children wanted to also make money. They were good children. They didn't use drugs. They hadn't had bad, unprotected sex. They had just gotten pregnant. And they funnel them off to a farm, a place where people are working, and they tell them that they're doing scientific research on aborted fetuses, and that they fit into a group that we can use this fetus from you, and if this works out, we could pay you for research and the research grant of $15,000 for your first child. You promise the young girl a phone, and you tell the girl, hey, this is a great phone. It'll track you wherever you go. So if you ever have any problems with the baby, you can notify us by saying emergency. It's not like it's writing down what's going on, but it does keep track of your whereabouts. That way we can make sure that the baby's safe because this is research. You give them a gag order and a double-blind research study. It's double-blind. That's the name of the movie because it's a blind from the government and it's a blind from the person giving up the baby. And the movie's all about rich people, right? They're basically taking the stem cells from these babies and harvesting them, and they're taking their own seed, their own semen, and their own egg matching donors in order to recreate organs of themselves. So say there's a rich donor in Egypt and he needs a new liver. They find a girl who's willing to have a new baby put into her through IVF, and they put that baby into her with the agreement that in 2.5 months she'll come in, they'll abort the fetus, which is perfectly legal, and they'll harvest the material to three-dimensionally create a new organ for this person, so that way not only are they matching the recipient of the organ, but they're actually creating their own genetically modified material for themselves, and they're doing it perfectly legally. So they harvest these girls, and they basically give them an agreement that if you can come in every 2.5 months and have a baby, we will guarantee that you can make $65,000 a year, which is great for a girl who's 16 or 17. And if they ask any questions, you tell them, look, this is an awesome deal because not only do you get this here, but we do in vitro fertilization. So you don't even have to worry about going out and having sex with a male. You don't even have to tell anyone that this is going on. You just come on in, and we will inseminate you on a Wednesday or Thursday in the afternoon or on a Sunday at 11 a.m., and then you'll be pregnant, and we'll monitor that baby. Plus, with this iPhone here, you'll be able to not only communicate with all your friends and have all the good things that this phone provides, but at the same time, you're going to be able to contact us in case you have an emergency. So that way the company, the organization, which is known as Double Blind, will be able to monitor the girl, and they'll let her know that they're listening to in case she has an emergency, in case something happens, so they can come and rescue the child. So the societal standard then would allow for them to do a double-blind study, blind from the federal government and blind from the girl, but created on the behalf of the benefactor, right? So the rich man needs to have, say, I don't know, a frontal lobe, all right? His brain's going bad. He needs a new frontal lobe. So he gives up his semen that they harvest, and then they find an egg of a donor recipient that has the same DNA. They place it in the girl. 2.5 months later, they go in and they harvest it, and they start creating the organs. The only thing that happens, though, is after the first year, the women find themselves being put into flats and being monitored and being turned into baby pregnancy centers. And so they're starting to be put into these areas. And then finally, the girls at the end who have been in it 10 years start realizing there's 6 or 7 women on a flat, and they're constantly giving up their babies and they can't get free. And they want to know what's happened to their freedoms, and they're locked up, but all they're doing is being harvested. And that brings into movie number 2 called The Harvesters, where you've got these places where these women are living and they're just inseminating them with people's DNA. Wouldn't that be a cool movie? I think, and you should call it Double Blind because it's blind from the government and blind from the person. They're just harvesting. Isn't that cool? What a movie.